Talk a little baseball, ladies and gentlemen. I think we all want baseball, but we also want it to be safe, right? And the question is, when you look at what's happening on the PGA Tour, they're being very careful, but people are still contracting the virus. Is this going to happen in baseball? Are they making a mistake? Is baseball actually back? Is it going to be back? Well, the guy we have on the line with us right now, great journalist, does a great job covering Major League Baseball for USA Today. That would be Bob Nightengale. Bob, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Bob?
Sure. Doing well, thank you.
All right, so Bob, give us the latest. This is what you've been covering. Explain to me the announcement that Major League Baseball has made, and how confident are you that this is actually going to happen?
Well, I'm confident that they're going to start.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens afterwards. They're keeping their fingers crossed, see how the protocols. They're going to have everybody come in by July 1st, go through the testing program, and then and 2 days after that, start July 3rd. But, they're going to have, dozens, if not, probably 100 positive tests. When you're talking about, 50 to 60 players, coming in per team, just the odds tell you there's going to be a lot of positive tests.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. I want to talk to you about that. How is Major League Baseball going to handle that? I mentioned the PGA Tour, Bob, and I know those are two completely different sports. I get it. But you heard, Bob, what the PGA Tour is doing, right? They're taking extra lengths. They're letting players and caddies on one specific jet. They're not letting them interact with anybody. And every week since they've started, people have tested positive for COVID. So how is Major League Baseball going to handle this?
Yeah, I mean, so few people can even go in the clubhouse. When you're on the road, you can't even go to the hotel, restaurant, or bar. They don't even want you to, take the elevator. They want you to walk up the stairs. But yeah, I mean, that's why, you start the season with 30 guys, but you have a, 30-man taxi squad. So if you have a rash of injuries or people getting sick, then you kind of substitute. So that's just, that's what they can try. They talked about having a bubble like, NBA and some other things. And the players didn't want to do that. The original plan was to have them in Phoenix. Phoenix is even harder than Las Vegas.
Right.
So, the players didn't want to do that. They're just going to kind of hold, cross their fingers and do a little praying, hoping the virus doesn't hit them too much.
Is the plan to test every player and every team member every day?
Every other day.
Okay.
And then if you test positive, then you're quarantined and you can't rejoin the team until you test negative, twice, 24 hours apart, and your fever's down 3 consecutive days.
Wow. All right. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. But can you talk?
So what if you test positive but you're asymptomatic and you don't have a fever?
Yeah, then I think you still have to same thing. You're still quarantined until you test negative twice in the 24 hours apart. So yeah, you're still going to be quarantined.
Bob, can you talk to me a little bit about some of these strange rules? I mean, how many times have we heard a rule in Major League Baseball that says you can't spit? I mean, that's part of baseball, right? I mean, can you talk to me a little bit about that, and how are these types of players going to handle some of these new rules?
No, that's some wild stuff. I mean, they're having a locker next to a guy. Every clubhouse, obviously, lockers are closer to 6 feet. So guys would be, using the visiting clubhouse, the umpires room, things like that. No spitting, no, you can't even use a sunflower seeds. You can chew gum. That's it. No clubhouse spreads. After games, you must leave the stadium within 90 minutes after game time. Things like that. Like you said, in the hotels. They allow you now to take Uber and Lyft, but say if you're in New York, you're not allowed to take the subway.
I mean, it sounds like a completely different game. And then also you've got the universal DH. NL now is a DH. When it's an extra inning game, there's a runner on second base, and if the runner gets hit in, the pitcher doesn't get an earned run added to their ERA. I mean, you've talked to a lot of players like the Mike Trouts of the world. How are these players? Are they excited for this, despite the fact that the season is down to 60 games and it's going to look nothing like it usually is?
Yeah, I think they're excited just to get baseball back, and hey, these games will be, they'll feel like an NFL game in the sense that it's so important. I mean, just every game is worth, team 2.5, 3 times as much.
That's a good point.
So you have one bad week or one great week, it can make a huge difference here. The runner in second, I don't think the players are crazy about that. But, at the same time, as the players, always say, we got the most boring overtime of the 4 major sports. After the 9th inning, fans head home. People, moaning and groaning in the broadcast booth, the press box. And as each inning goes on, instead of having excitement, I think more people are bored and more people take off.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Bob Nightengale, a great writer for USA Today, talking about Major League Baseball back. All right, Bob, let me ask you this. I guess it's a 2-part question. Do you think Major League Baseball has made the right decision, number one? And number two, do you see this playing out well in that, do you see this season progressing into playoffs and there's not going to be a stoppage or a cancellation of the season after they already started? How do you see this thing playing out, and do you think Major League Baseball made the right decision in your opinion?
Well, I think they made the right decision to try it. Like they said, they have a 101-page proposal. Health proposal, trying to take every single precaution possible. And it's the right time. They could not have started any earlier. So if you're going to try to get in, you might as well try now. Will it work? Who knows? I think the other sports, it's like MLB shut down as soon as the NBA did. It's almost followed the leader a little bit. So we'll see how worried players get too. You have a bunch of players say, you know what, it's not worth it. I'm opting out right now. Then it might force MLB's hand, like, you shut this thing down. Once you're shut down, I'm not sure they can start it back up again. I think they lose interest there.
Let's say that everything goes well and we actually end up finishing the 60-game season and the playoffs takes place. What does that playoff format look like?
Now it's going to revert to back to where it was. So it's still that sudden death, 1-game wild card playoff, then the division round, LCS, and World Series. Remember they were talking about the expanded playoffs. The first round would have been the best of 3. But since there's no agreement, they go back to the old rules. So just 10 teams now.
Bob, just to go back to the player on second base to start off extra innings, is that just a proposal or was that agreed upon?
That was agreed upon.
Oh, wow.
As part of the proposal, the union actually asked the owners, hey, can we even talk about tie games? Say it's a tie game at 15th or 16th. Can we end the game in a tie? So I think that's more just for the health and safety of these guys. Realize
it's drastic,
they have along the field, the more they jeopardize their health. That sort of thing. That not going to have a full spring training. So just a one-time deal. It should go away next year.
Oh,
we'll see about the CBA, but it should go away next year.
Because I can't think of much more that would piss off the purists than to have forever and ever the extra innings will now start with a player on second base. So you're saying that might be temporary. Okay.
Yeah, just this year only for now. That's what they told them it'll be for now. I think I saw some stat, because, obviously they've had the minor leagues the last couple of years, is that I think when, with the runner in second base, I think all games end. 65, 70% games end after the 10th inning. So that's what they want to do.
Bob, do you think that batters or pitchers have an advantage right now, considering how long this break has been? And usually, the season starts in April. I do a lot of baseball wagering myself, and I take monthly splits into consideration. And some pitchers are just a lot better when the weather isn't as hot as they are, when it is that hot. Do you think that something like that will factor in, considering how late the season is starting? Do you think that one of those, either the pitchers or batters, will have a distinct advantage?
Well, usually it's always the pitchers have the advantage over the hitters, with timing, and the hitter's timing is off. But, with a lot of gyms closed down and things like that, I think the hitters could have gone outside easily and gone to a hitting cage.
Right.
They don't need 3 weeks to get ready. They get ready in 1 week. So I've got to believe that the hitters will, be ahead of the pitchers when this starts off. I think the hitters will have a big advantage.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something. It's going to be a lot more enjoyable. All due respect to the Korean Baseball League, watching games at 3:30.
KBO.
Yeah, watching games at 3:30 in the morning. Don't get me wrong. I get excited for that every night. I stay up, but actually I don't. But with that being said, watching these actual Major League Baseball games, it's going to be fun again. I think the country does need it, so long as it's safe. Bob, you do a fantastic job with USA Today. We always appreciate it when you come on our show, and we appreciate your time. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys too. My pleasure.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
There you go. Bob Nightengale, veteran journalist, does a great job for USA Today covering Major League Baseball.
I'll tell you this, Bob Nightengale, he broke the fact that Major League Baseball was coming back.
He's one of the best.
Yeah,
he's one of the best, and also one of the nicest. By the way, we didn't have to get into this with him, but odds-on favorites for the World Series: Dodgers and Yankees.
Yeah, and I'll tell you
which
this.
is not.
Aren't they the odds-on favorites every year?
Every year.
Nah, I mean,
almost.
I micro bet the Dodgers every day since the end of college football season after I hit
Kershaw.
that big LSU
Why
play.
is it the Dodgers?
The Dodgers should
why is it their
absolutely win
pitchers?
this World Series.
Why is it their pitchers?
They are by far the best team in Major League Baseball.
Why is it their pitchers always choke in postseason? Why is it that Kershaw is such a choke? Why?
Well, we've talked about it. Kershaw's getting older. His delivery, the way his wind up, he has that double clutch, and if he does that too often, I actually think that he is going to be. This is great for Kershaw because he's not going to have that wear and tear on his body. By the time he'll have 15 starts by the time the World Series happens this year. If that takes, usually he's got 25 or 30. And with the way that his windup is and how he's had 2 back injuries as well, Brian. So when a pitcher uses that double clutch as part of their windup, that long windup, then they hurt their back and they're getting older. That's why Kershaw's not that good.
Hugh Darvish was terrible in postseason. Now I understand that they were stealing his signs. I get that, and that's a big part of it.
That doesn't help, Brian.
That doesn't help. But come on, Darvish has always choked in postseason. I mean, that they have a history.
I love baseball. JD loves baseball. I know you hate baseball.
Oh, here's what I hate.
But I got to say, and I'll be happy to have it back live. But just from a player's perspective, even if you're a fan of a team, winning a championship after 60 games, I don't know. Is it even? How can you even?
Always an asterisk.
It doesn't have that same
just like
celebratory
the NBA,
feel to it.
Guys, just like the NHL season and the NBA season, and I'm not convinced that those are going to happen. But if they do, there's going to be an asterisk next to the Stanley Cup champion or the NBA. Come on,
I actually hope that the NBA season doesn't happen because I get a bunch of money back in futures if that's.
Well, I think if it does, the Lakers are going to win it all. But anyway, I just think that this whole idea. Listen, it's not a real season.
By the way, they're courting J.R. Smith again after Avery Bradley left. The Lakers are.
Are they? Well,
yeah.
I also heard that Jason Kidd, the drunk, is interviewing for the New York Knicks job, which I think is a disgrace.
And
this is a guy who assaulted his wife, a guy who's had multiple DUIs. Jason Kidd is a disgrace.
There's a good chance that the Knicks pick up Giannis in the near future, and they draft LaMelo Ball with Jason Kidd as the.
No. By the way, if there's a kid involved in a high chair and Jason Kidd is there's applesauce involved, be careful because Jason Kidd will use the spoon as a weapon. He did that with his ex.
Anyway, one other quick piece of breaking sports news that came out earlier. The NFL has canceled the annual Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. It takes place in August, and the enshrinement ceremony, and that is postponed until 2021. So I don't get it. You're going to have a 60-game baseball season, but you're canceling the first game of the football season, even though it's preseason. Remains to be seen, right, guys?
And if you want to visit the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, Georgia, it was destroyed by looters.